Well, Robert Earl Dean, who do we have with us today?
We are so honored today to have this gentleman. He's been doing his work for the Lord in the music for a long time, and he ain't tired yet.
Mm-hmm.
He is Dr., the one and only international traveler, Dr. Oscar Williams Jr. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Y'all seem like y'all are already at it.
Yes, yes, yes. But Brother Oscar, I just want to just jump right on into it and
Yes.
just ask the question.
Yeah.
Is that a virtual backdrop, or do you really have a wall in your house with your picture on it?
Oh, listen, my walls are covered with Jesus pictures.
Come
Hey,
on, come on
Shabba.
through, church.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about.
So is that a Jesus picture behind you?
Listen, I'm looking at my past and saying, you don't hold me no more.
That's right. And that picture is dope. Our
Thank
program
you.
director
Thank
talked about his packaging. Yes.
Thank you so much. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I just had to ask that question because, I always talk when I talk to artists and I see big pictures of themselves, I'll be wondering like, what room in the house is that? You know. And see, if I had a room in my house with a big old picture on it,
Oh Lord.
I would imagine that my wife would call that the get back room. Everything she wanted to get me back when I walk into the room one day, and all of a sudden I see darts.
Right.
Then the next day I see a prayer cloth.
Listen, whatever keeps the marriage working and together.
Right. And he
Do
notices
what you gotta
everything.
do.
He notices everything. If you had a towel behind you, if you had some praying hands, he would notice it.
I just
Well,
want to let you know that we was just into your ambiance.
Yes.
okay.
And because a
Well,
lot of times people will call you, they don't care nothing about you, but that 10-minute interview, I'm gonna ask you who, what, why, and where. But we just want to know your ambiance.
Yeah, we ain't like that.
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Okay. I got you.
Right.
I'm with you.
So how did you get started in music, period?
Oh man. I mean, like many others, raised in church, of course, my formal training came from those that I was around, my early teachers. My first teacher was my sister, and then did formal music training, took lessons for many, many years. And just, it was just a part of who I was, who I am. And it naturally evolved and grew. And my parents were very, very big proponents of education. So it wasn't just the natural gift or skill, it was
Hmm.
honing that gift and skill. It was, perfecting that craft. And so I went off to school, both high school and then college, and my graduate programs to get degrees in music, because again, it was important to not only be able to intuitively use music, but then to be able to speak about it intelligently and to understand what it was I was creating. So that's kind of really my story in a nutshell in terms of getting started in music, in gospel music. Um, I've never really wanted to do gospel music. My heart was in classical music, which is where I spent a lot of my focus. Gospel music was too hard. It was, I just didn't feel, it was just, I wasn't so much emotional kid growing up. And so, I was raised in a holiness church. And so I was like, listen, all of this that we doing in God's, give me a little more structure.
Okay, holiness
And
as meaning what? Pentecostal or Kojic?
a Pentecostal holiness.
Okay.
Yeah, we were Pentecostal holiness. Everyday church Pentecostal holiness, no pants wearing Pentecostal holiness, no movie going Pentecostal, none of that. I'm like, and if this is what gospel music awards me,
Be the
See,
morning.
see, when you came on, this a spirit told me
Hey, spirit.
that this brother can't shout.
what? Oh, see, that was
He's from the Pentecostal
years
church.
ago.
He can't shout.
I'm just messing with him.
There's been evolution, but I used to didn't. I used to be like, look, it just takes too much energy out of you. I'm like sweating,
And I ain't gonna
just
mess up my suit.
like, no, not my
So,
suit, not my J's, none of that. I'm
uh,
just gonna clap.
so Doc, let me ask you this question: what was the first instrument that you played on?
Piano is my main instrument. That's what, I've kind of laid in all these years. And that's still, I'm not, I'm not one of those that say, oh man, I can play drums. Pick one and stick with that and perfect that. And then if God gives you something else down the road, that's great. So, I mean, piano, keyboard, instruments have always been my main function.
Most artists that we interview started off on the drums. So this is a pleasant surprise because everybody was drums, then they was keyboards, then they was guitar, whatever. So you're one of the first to have started on the piano or the organ.
Yeah. That's where I started. That's where I still am.
Now, did you play in your church choirs or for community choirs? That type of thing?
I did a short stint of that. So like my church choir, the pianist retired. And then my mother was playing. And so it was just one of those things again where you gonna play. And I don't want to. Well, you going to? Okay. And so that's really how I started playing for the church. Then it was, of course, as a young kid, my first church that I ever played for was a Catholic church. And they paid me $75 a week, Catholic church.
Wait a minute, how much they paid you?
$75 a week.
What?
And I thought I was gonna be rich. When that lady said, okay, we'll give you 75 for rehearsal and a Sunday. Man, I was like 14 years old.
Well, that's a lot then.
Man, my mom gonna buy you this ring, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting $75 a week.
Wow.
You couldn't tell me nothing. And so, of course, evolved from there. I didn't do a lot of playing for groups. I played for certain artists like me and V. Michael McKay. I played for him for years, traveling with him. I did a very, very short stint with the Soul Children of Chicago playing for them. But I developed my own group early on, which really took a lot of my focus and attention. And the stuff that I would do, like, I would go to the Bobby Jones Gospel Retreat when he used to have it in Vegas. And because I was working with V. Mike McKay, that's how, I kind of played along with Derek and played for the Bobby Jones Retreat because, Derek would be up there and say, hey, come on, get on this instrument. And so it was a lot of course, going to gospel music workshop and playing for, some of the recordings and things of that nature. But again, me with playing, I never really focused on playing. Like, it was a passion, but it wasn't what I really, really wanted to do. I didn't like rehearsals. I didn't like sitting in band rehearsals. I just was like, this is too much. And then the more gospel music evolved, I was like, this is just too much to learn. I don't feel like sitting down, listening to all of this. There's too many changes. It sounds great. And it sounds wonderful. But that just wasn't where my heart was anymore. And so, I played for a group I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I live in Dallas, Texas now, but born and raised in St. Louis. So, of course, I played for a lot of groups there, Delo Thetford and Gospel Symphonic and the Gospel Music Workshop and the Thomas Dorsey Convention, very, very much involved with those entities and still am. But yeah, my focus kind of moved to my own ministry early on.
So let me ask you this question. This is not a beef.
He always got a beef, Oscar.
I just want you, Oscar, this to set the record straight. You from St. Louis, right?
I am.
And you live in Texas.
I do.
Who got the best ribs?
Oh man, St. Louis. Listen, St. Louis barbecue, period, is unmatched. I don't care what they say about Memphis.
Kansas City.
I don't care what they say about Kansas City. Kansas City and Memphis cheated and stole what St. Louis got. It originated in St. Louis.
Wow, everything the devil stole.
Everything the devil stole, he stole from St. Louis and took somewhere else.
Wow.
Texas does have good barbecue. They got good ribs, good, now Texas can make a mean steak now. I give them that, But St. Louis, hands down, if you want some good, now put your bulletproof vest on.
Right.
And make sure you go during the day.
Yes.
With a whole bunch of people and don't have no cash on you, just your card. But if you're ready for all that, I can take you to the right place. And it's that slap your mama barbecue, ribs.
Okay.
Ribs.
So I'm just going to say this.
He might be fasting when we come.
I'm just going to say this so that you can get it straight. You done laid down the gauntlet. Now,
man.
as Robert Earl and I started the God Radio tour, where we going to
We're gonna be
places,
touring, yeah.
we gonna come. We gonna let you know when we're going to St. Louis. I'm gonna call
Okay.
Nelly and them and
Okay.
everything, and I'm gonna
Okay.
say, Nelly, they say this where we gonna go. We're gonna have the bulletproof vest on.
We
We're
need
gonna be
it.
wearing black and not red or blue.
There you
You
go.
know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we're gonna
Neutral
go
color.
down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna leave the good J's at home and wear the workout J's,
There you go. There you go.
and we're gonna go down there. Now, if
Proper, just take sandals.
Sandals?
Sandals are safer. Yeah.
Okay.
Take the Jesus sandals. It's
Okay.
safer.
But you know what, Oscar? You guys got some good Chinese food too.
So now you gotta. So if you're gonna travel to St. Louis, let me help you. We don't call it Chinese food.
Okay, what you call it?
If you say Chinese food, they gonna know you're a foreigner, and you might be in trouble.
Okay.
So let me give you a little insight. We call it the Chinaman. You got to say, oh, y'all got good Chinaman.
You got good.
That'll camouflage you enough.
Okay.
Where they be like, oh yeah. We
Okay,
don't-
good
Chinese food is for the bougie people. We don't say no Chinese
Okay.
food.
well, I'm just letting you know, I'm coming to St. Louis with all my California accolades, and I'm gonna walk up in there and I'm like saying, Cali up in the house. What up? And if they start shooting, I'm like saying, but I'm a man of God. Be careful.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on where you go. That might save you. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance.
Right.
Go for it, brother.
because I came there years ago with the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. We were at the classic football game.
Yeah.
And they've been the main school since its inception. And
Mm-hmm.
man, we were downtown, and I had some Chinese food. I said, some Chinamen, and I was like, this is St. Louis to have
Oh
this?
yeah. Oh yeah. Chinaman.
Robert, you bougie, so you might as well just say Chinese food.
No, I'm gonna do what this man said because I want to be.
Because you said Chinaman, you said it so bullshit. Like, Chinaman.
Because we're from
Yeah.
California. Now, what transitioned you to Texas?
Well, I've been in Texas for 16 years. I came down here initially because I was a part of a church that, a church start down here in Dallas. And I came to help build the church and just stayed down here, made it home, and just felt like this is where the Lord, wanted me in this season of my life. And so that's why I'm still here.
Wow, it's a plethora of musicians and singers for sure. That
Oh,
Dallas
absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
Houston area.
Yeah,
So-
Houston and Dallas. Texas, period, is something in the water that just when you drink it, you come out singing and playing.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Texas
I
is
didn't
really-
experience that. When I came down to Texas, and I drank the water, I got acid reflux. Can you explain to me?
Well, your spirit wasn't right.
Because that's what it starts
And
with.
so, the water wasn't able to take root in your spirit because there was something tainted. So I can't get in all that,
Okay, okay. So let me get into this. Okay, so you moved from St. Louis to Texas, which was probably a little culture shock. You know what I'm saying?
A bit, yeah.
Yeah. And there's some people that are beefing with you by saying by far Texas will outdo y'all in barbecue. But you get to Texas, you're in a church plant. When did you transition to being the artist with the big picture behind you of the album cover?
Well, I was doing artistry before I moved to Texas. In St. Louis, I had started a group called Perfected Praise, and in 2004 we released our first CD, Unstoppable. And at that time, we were signed to Al Hobbs' label Alejo,
Yes.
which was my mentor in the gospel music industry. He really took me and my group under his wing. He exposed us to so much. I am really who I am today, a lot due to Al Hobbs' direction and supervision and things of that nature. And we had a really good run that year, just with the CD. It debuted number
Top
40
40.
on Gospel Billboard. There was a song that we did at that time was kind of really our, staple song I recorded with Lucretia Campbell called Safety. And so we were really riding high off of that. It was our introduction to the industry. It was my introduction. Well, I had written already several songs for other artists, but Safety was kind of the song that people started to associate with me. And, because I recorded it with a couple of other people, I did it with Teresa Hairston, Gospel
Yes,
Heritage.
I
I
remember
did
the
it with
song.
Gospel Music Workshop.
Hmm.
So, for me, it was like, okay, okay, this guy's a legit writer. And in the midst of that, that's when I moved to Texas. And so, unfortunately, what happened because of the distance, me as an artist, that group kind of took a back seat. I was focused on building my life here
Right.
in Dallas. And then when I transitioned to my church I'm in now, Potter's House, I really had to focus a lot of my attention on what I'm doing with this ministry.
Right.
So I couldn't, really do both and do them both with justice.
Right.
So I still continue to write, written for Tamla Man and Smokey Norfolk, Mississippi Mass Choir, Karen Clark. I kind of took that route and, kind of pulled the picture down, and, kind of rolled it up and said, okay, we'll get back to it.
But the
And just
money.
started to feel the push of God to really, get back into it. And I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself an artist. My goal is not to, man, I just want to travel the world. I want, my goal really is to breathe out of me, have come out of me the songs that God put in me, and for it to impact the kingdom. And wherever that leads and wherever that goes is great. And to pull together aggregation of like-minded singers and musicians to do the same. And, that's the band of life. That's who we are.
So I want to ask this question again. This is a question.
Someone asked the question.
When did you go for the bald head and beard look? Because J.J. Hairston done called everybody out. He got, his head is so clean, and his beard is, he got juicy berries or something that's making his beard. So when did you decide to do this transition?
JJ is my friend. I was bald before all of them. They
Okay.
cheating off.
Now the truth comes out.
So
The truth
basically,
comes out. But mine was an involuntary baldhood.
okay.
Yes,
You
it,
know,
was,
it
wasn't by choice.
Right.
Okay.
It was by nature and need.
Okay, because
And his probably was too. Let the truth be
I'm
told.
just saying.
Probably so.
Yes,
I'm just
sir.
saying. I've been seeing everybody rocking the bald head. Now they got electric razors that are designed to shave your bald head. They got beard emollients and elixirs to make your beard
All of the above,
sparkle and everything like that. There was a brother here in San Diego. His beard was so perfect. I'm like, how long does it take you? He said, well, first of all, I got to wash it, then I got to blow dry it, and then I got to. I'm like,
It's a
wow.
process. It
A
definitely
full- a
is
full
process.
routine.
And I said to him, that's why I'm always just gonna have this right here, because all the rest of that, too
Understandable.
much work. Like a one with long hair.
It does take work. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Perfection takes time.
Right.
Amen.
Now,
Amen.
Oscar, what impresses me about you is your education. I think it's very important that even if you are an artist in church, sometimes musicians stay at a certain place and they want to charge you $50 million to play for them, but they can't read or anything. I commend you. Let's talk about your educational side.
And also while you're at it, and how much do you charge your friends to do string arrangements and piano scoring? Praise the Lord on their new project.
Well, the first question, yeah, education has always been important to me and to my family. My undergrad and graduate degrees are in music, and my doctorate is in education. Because I wanted to expand and evolve. One of the things I've always lived by is having options for my life, and I don't, it's not so much that I love school. I just love learning, and it's not so much that I want to be able to charge people more. It's just I want to always be able to talk intelligently about what it is that I'm doing.
Wow.
And I do think that education opens up a lot more doors. It allows you to go into a lot more arenas and education mixed with experience backs up what you're saying. There's one thing to read things in a book. There's another thing to apply what you read and then to talk about what happened when you applied it. And so that's the state I am in my life. What I've read, I'm applying, and then I want to, move on to talk about my experience after I combine both of them. And so
So
now in terms of string arrangements, for friends, what I do is I recommend somebody who is amazing.
Right.
My compositions really are, when I do that, it's really for what I need, and only because it's so time consuming.
Yes.
That right now, what I have learned with time and me is that in order to give your best, you have to be able to discipline yourself to focus on what immediately you can do within the space, time, and capacity that you have to
Wow.
output the most, so that it's most effective. And so I don't do a lot of string arrangements, though I can,
Right.
because in order to do them right, you have to have that dedicated time. One of my good friends, he's like my little brother, Roy Cotton, who's doing so much. I recommend everybody to him because he's amazing. Now, if you Steven Spielberg or somebody, I
Right.
might say,
David
well,
Foster or somebody.
listen, come on,
well,
Spielberg.
Spilly and I go back, but we'll talk about that later. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? My question to you is,
Billy, okay.
you said the Potter's house. Now, is that Bishop Jake's Potter's house or another Potter's house?
A Bishop Jake Spotter's house.
Okay. When you see Bishop next week or whenever you see him, tell him that we said, hey, and we want to get that interview with him also. Tell him it changed his life.
Okay. Okay.
So my last question.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you have your education. I love the fact that you're just down to earth. How is it being in such a big ministry, and the minute you mention it, people kind of seem to treat you differently?
Which is one of the reasons why I mentioned it, but I've never been defined by what I do or where I am or anything like that. That's not a definitive mark for me. I am Oscar. It's not the headline of my resume or my bio. It's not how I start off a conversation with anybody. I am one that really doesn't like to talk about myself. I just like to talk about the work, the impact. What is the work doing? Because at the end of the day, only what you do for Christ will last. It's your works that will be put in the fire and tried, not you. So, if you ain't doing the work, then you ain't doing nothing. But you're right. When people, it's just the nature and the culture of the world. When people feel like you are attached to something or associated with something that they deem valuable, they then attach that value to you. And it causes them to treat you differently or talk to you differently, whatever. And it's a blessing and a challenge. The blessing is, yes, it has offered me many opportunities that I may not have gotten. I've met people, I've been in certain environments that I've learned from and grown from. And the challenge is, that I steadily and daily, kind of deny that side of me that wants to glory in that, to say, like, listen, that could change any day. It's not about where you are, or who he is, or who the church is. It's about the work that you're doing. And so die to that part that wants to get excited about that and use that as a banner and use that as a promotional tool for you. And then see through that with people. I mean, I don't judge people. I mean, people are people. So, I don't necessarily look differently at people who I know, the only reason you're talking to me, the only reason that you're doing this is because of where I am. I mean, that's just the nature of people. Yeah. And those people were never meant to stay and never meant to be around. Right. So I don't give them that much energy anyway.
Well, brother, I want to say this. I'm sorry. I want to say that we appreciate you coming on. I am going to say to you that I definitely am very impressed, and I'm going to use your connection, because when I go to St. Louis, I'm like saying, look, I know Oscar, and he said come down here and everything like that. So if I treat you different, it's because that barbecue was good.
Now, let's talk about Heal the Land, your single.
Yes.
How did that come about, and how did you hook up with that singing girl?
Yeah, Heal Our Land. With me being from St. Louis, the Ferguson protests and riots when Mike Brown was killed really affected me. And so One day I was driving home. I was in St. Louis. I was driving from Chicago to St. Louis, and it was just in my spirit. That scripture was in my spirit. I began to hear the Holy Spirit sing this melody to me, and the melody matched the words of Second Chronicles. And I was excited because there are certain times that I know God is breathing a song into me, like when it just comes out of nowhere. And I knew that, okay, God, you're giving me this. I got to get this out. And I actually, so that was 2014. And I kind of said on it, I taught it to my church. We did it. It was recorded by a choir in South Africa. It went gold over in South Africa.
Wow.
But I knew it needed to be released here in this country, especially for the times that we're in.
Right.
See, Ashley Brown Lawrence, my best friend lives in Moss Point, Mississippi, Bishop Eric Brown. And his daughter, who I've watched grow up, kind of like my little god sister, my little niece, has just been singing like a mad woman for years. So she's been with Hezekiah Walker.
Yes.
She sang his album So Amazing. She put out her own single project. She did the song Ricky Dillard made popular.
Yes.
I made it. She
Yes.
recorded that. I mean, just a monster of a singer. And I knew I needed someone to convey the very strength and heart of Heal Our Land.
Yes.
Somebody that when you heard, you could hear the pain, you could hear the cry,
Yes.
in a very real way. And so when we got in the studio, I just like, yeah, this is the one. And so we recorded that like 3 years ago. And just again, in this season, it was kind of like I just was hearing God say, this is the time, like this, no time to wait. You'll never have enough money to do a project. You'll never have all the influence that you think that you need. But if you just do the work, I'll breathe on it. And I said, okay, God. And so I was like, okay, we're going to put this out. Some people said, well, that single's too slow. You want to start with something fast or whatever. And I almost did. But then I was like, I just feel like this is the time for this. This is the season for this song. And so there we have it, Heal Our Land.
Well, introduce it to our audience and listeners and tell them how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. Heal Our Land, taken from the scripture of 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal the land. Written by Oscar Williams, performed by Oscar Williams and the Band of Life, featuring C. Ashley Brown Lawrence. You can find it at every digital outlet. It is currently streaming: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google, Amazon. Also, it's playing in stations across America, especially on this station. So listen, support it, find it. You can see it on YouTube. We have a lyric video. If you want to reach out to me and let me know how it blessed you, find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse. All my handle is Oscar Worldwide. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear testimony. Would love for you to share this message with the world. And what is that message? Heal Our Land.
Right here on GOD Radio 1.com.
Yes.com.